I'll ramble while you think.
Feel free.
So mine are probably, the first ones that come to mind are any of like the action stuff. I had a particular moment really early on. I mean, there were lots of fights and stuff, like, shooting and punching, and I loved beating the tar out of Catch. And then he cheated and shot me with a taser. But there was, right early on, there was an episode where I was fighting this little boy, like fighting a ghost in the house with a little boy. You all remember it as the episode where I ditched the boys. Where Mary was suddenly hated. But there was a scene where I'm in the basement and the lights flicker, and I'm like, oh shit. And so I have to run up the basement steps and run down the hall, and I was supposed to run over, and she squats down and grabs the gun out of the bag. I'm like, really? So their lights are flickering. I have to get upstairs and pick up a gun, and I'm like, really? So I'm like, no, she's gonna come up and she's gonna baseball slide. And as she slides by, she's gonna grab the gun and stand up and and they were like, okay. And I was like, watch. And I totally did it, tore the shit out of my knees, because they're like, do you need knee pads? I'm like, and I was like, can I have knee pads? And that was still Bob, I think, he was like, I was like, I don't want to, they won't look good under my jeans. Okay. But I did it, and I cut. Oh. That was a moment for me where I was like, they took me seriously, as much as they could take me. A woman seriously.
I think, for me, and just in this moment, the answer might change if you ask me tomorrow, but right now, the most badass I ever felt as Jody was in a scene with Alex when we first got together. And she picks up a picture of my husband and child. She goes, is this your family? With something scoffing. And I'm like, they died. She said, oh, how'd they die? And I just said, horribly. And that's what makes me feel like a badass, is opening to this level of racking, destroying pain, and be like, and watch me walk the fuck through it. That's what I think made Jody a badass. Would be like, she struck me as someone whose heart was on fire, and she was still like, fucking bring it, motherfuckers. And that's the badassery that I see in humanity. That I always think that's badass. And it doesn't, whatever it is that is my burning, because it's different for everybody. Like I said, I'm not lying when I say I am proud of you for taking another breath. You don't have to get out of bed. Whatever it is that creates that no when you tell yourself yes, that's a fucking badass, in my opinion.